let's take a minute to go over the banner that's coming here real shortly, like 4.5 hours. And so let's start with Lust, okay? Let's just kind of go over her kit, her bond, talents, that sort of stuff. And then we'll go right to Arrogance, kind of do the same thing there. And I will give you kind of a rating of the two heroes. And I mean, obviously, it's a banner in which you should be summoning, right? I think every content creator out there right now is saying, do summon, do summon, do summon. It really depends on you and your finances, or you and how hard you grind on how many summons you're going to have and what you're going to do with those summons, right? But this is strictly a rare summoning, so your blue summoning stones. This is not your ancients, which is your red, or your divines, which is your gold. So Lust and Arrogance are strictly just off of the rares, okay? So let's get into this kit a little bit. So her talent, I mean, just to kind of get down to the nuts and bolts of it. All right, so for every ultimate activated by faction allies, including herself, and do remember that, that's very important, Lust is going to trigger her Sinful Lash one time. And the Sinful Lash is an attack that deals 300% damage to a random enemy in range. Now, she has that Dolores range, which is pretty cool. Let's look at her basic attack, right? So her basic attack is basically getting down to the nuts and bolts of it. 15% chance to hit allies, right? That's what that's telling you right there at the bottom. But when she's hitting your allies, she's only dealing the equivalent of about 5% damage. So that 5% damage, if you have her built to 100 BP or 100 HP or 50k HP, 5% of that, right? So it's not a massive amount of damage that she is attacking her own allies for. She's not wiping out. She's not cleaning the floor with her own team. But she is doing this for a reason, right? But also within this kit, she is landing 2 lashes. Now, remind yourself of the 2 lashes that she's going to deal, each for 80% damage. But that 2 is later on going to increase, so let's pay attention to that, okay? Getting over her to her manual ultimate, and I prefer all manual ultimates. I hate the automatic ones, but they do occur. All right, so now let's get over to the ultimate. So remember, with her basic, she's dealing 2 lashes. Now here she's dealing 4 lashes. So, I mean, that's a big difference, right? 2 to 4, also dealing 20% more damage, and this lasts for 15 seconds. Now, this is at A0. This isn't an a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. If you want to go ahead and do that math, please feel free to do that math and crunch those numbers. Let's get on to her first passive, which is really just every time a Sinful Lash is triggered, increasing attack speed by 30, stacking up to 3 times. You can see here just the attack speeds being increased in intervals of 2, 2, 2, and 4. Can't be mad at that by any means. All right, now Lust's first passive is really just every time her Sinful Lash is triggered, she increases her attack speed by 30%, stacks up to 3 times. Here are the number amplifiers. I do believe, please correct me if I'm wrong for this, but I do believe that this is an increase for all faction allies or just all allies in general. Okay, now moving on to the next passive. And this is why you want her to hit her allies, because she's gaining 20% damage upon the damage she deals with the basic attack to her allies, and that is lasting for 4 seconds. So this is why hitting her own allies is so important, and why we mentioned that earlier, and why it's not a bad thing. She's not going to deal a ton of damage. Okay, that's the really, really big one. And the Nightmare Council, there is a 40% chance to restore rage for the target as well, when you're hitting your faction members as well. So what you're wanting to do, if you're running, let's say, a Nightmare Inferno or a Nightmare Piercer team, you're going to want to get as many Nightmares within her attack range as possible, so she can have that 10% or 40% chance to restore 10% rage at A0, okay? And now getting into her bond, which is kind of cool. It is a 20% damage, or a 20% extra damage. To all damage is now burning damage also. So that's really cool. Once you have this bond with Arrogance, right? So again, once you're bonded with Arrogance, damage for the ultimate, let me rephrase, damage for the ultimate goes up to 20% extra damage, and now all damage dealt is inflicted burning damage. Okay, so that's really cool. And so with a hero like Lust, heroes that are going to actually make her stronger, because Lust, as you can tell here, is really based off of basic attack, right? So you're going to want to max out her basic attack. You're going to want to max out her ultimate. And these are really the two you're really going to want to max out. You don't want to spend all your stones. But you're also, like I was saying, the hero that's really going to help her out tremendously is Torador, right? Because Torador does make her stronger, or does make a lot, faction members stronger through basic attack. Now, if we're grading her on a scale from, like, let's say we're using Fastidious' grading scale, she's an S+ hero, and that's fantastic, right? She's not triple S, but she is still absolutely primo, must pull for, okay? Now, really quick, if we just pop into her Awakenings, we have her A1 here, which is really just 20% defense reduction. It sounds great. It's not as good as it could be, but it's still really good, right? Now, A2, we have 300 attack, and then, all right, and now for her A3, essentially after 3 stacks, which means 20% attack speed bonus, which is super fast, and this is not including any Lord bonuses, which you're getting for this faction, right? So that's absolutely really good. The A4 is just penetration. Well, I say just, but it's 8% penetration, and then her A5 is really where she shines, right? This is kind of where everyone's like, oh my god, we want her, because basic is 2, ultimate is 4. Now here she's landing 6 lashes rather than the basic 2, rather than the 4 when she's ulting, right? So now she is landing 6 on a standard occasion versus the standard of 2. So this is why everyone's like, hey, A5 Lust, A5 Lust, A5 Lust. When it comes down to it, she's really one of the highest DPS units for normal heroes in the game, and you don't want to miss out on this opportunity of getting her, right? So now let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about Arrogance. All right, where are we? Here we go. All right. So now with Arrogance, straight away, let's just get this out of the way. He is a top 2 fighter in the game. There's no way around it. He is one of the best heroes, hands down. On Fastidious' website, he is an S+. He is 1 shy of being a triple S hero, which just means he is the top of the top, just right outside of it, right? I believe there's 10 S+ on his list, so Arrogance would be the 11th best hero in the game. This is including all the Ancient Lords, so we're talking Praetus, we're talking Ingrid, we're talking, those sort of heroes. So absolutely insane if you can get your hands on them. If you do have your hands on them, go for Awakenings. If you don't need to go for something else on these other banners. But this talent, real quick. So he's dealing damage in 2 ways, right? The Demon Bow and the Demon Blade, right? So the Demon Bow, he's going to inflict burn on the target, and then the Demon Blade in normal stance, he's going to have a 30% chance to increase the hero's attack speed by 40, stacking up to 3 times. Now, the reason they're so specific about normal stance is because he does go into a separate stance during his ultimate, which we will get into. Now, for his basic attack, he has that hammer or the Zilla-2 range, right? Or just shy of it, I guess we could say. And it may actually increase with Awakenings or leveling it up to 60 and whatnot. I obviously don't have them, so I'm not sure. But, I mean, there's nothing he can't do, right? Ground, air, he doesn't care. If it's an enemy, he's taking care of them. So you just want to wipe them out. You want to max this out, the basic out for him if you can. With the ultimate, this is where, right here, if you watch this video, this is his Berserker stance. So it's opposite of his normal stance. This is his Berserker stance, where he's dealing 260 damage with each attack launched and increasing attack range. As you can tell here, he goes into a piercer attack range right here, and it's absolutely insane the damage this man can do. He turns his bow into a boomerang, dealing AoE damage equal to 20% damage, and it's almost like a bursting damage because he's doing so much damage, but it's just AoE damage. Okay, pretty insane. And it's also inflicting burn on all those enemies. All right, and for his first passive, it's really just 1+ attack speed and AoE damage up to 10 enemies, which is huge. 80% damage for 10 enemies is absolutely bonkers, right? And then we have his Devil's Dance, which is really cool. It's really just 15 to 25% chance to attack a second target, right? So Demon Bow, Demon Boomerang, 15% chance to attack 2 targets. Demon Blade, 15% chance for double strikes, okay? So it's just that 15 to 25% chance. If you add up all the percentages here, that's the range. Now, if we get into his bond with none other than Lust, his bond is a 15% boost during his Hellfire. His Hellfire is his ultimate. So he's always going to be doing that 15% damage when in ultimate. So having that bond takes him from being a great hero to that's where he's one of those top heroes in the game, and helps him really be a top 2 fighter in the game. All right, so let's get into his awakenings really fast. So his A1, it restores 5% HP when in Berserker mode, which helps him really take care of lanes by himself, where that way he doesn't need a healer so much. His A2 is 15% crit damage. That's always a plus, especially if you're early to mid game. You're not getting crit damage or crit rate at a rate that a mid to late game player is going to get, or even especially an end game player. So that's good for the mid early game players. Those later game players really want that attack though. The damage, not the attack, the damage. So there's that. His A3 is 50% burning damage, so it's an extra 15% on top of anything else he's doing. A4 is +2 attack rage, so anytime he's attacking, he's getting a +2 rage. And then his A5 is, during his ultimate, he maxes attack, so straight away to 120, and then his first 5 attacks are 100% damage, okay? So, again, if you have the luxury of getting this man to an A5, he is that borderline S+, SSS hero for you, okay? There's no ifs, there's no ands, there's no buts, there's no questions about it. So, looking at this banner just really fast, it's going to run, I believe, Thursday to Sunday, Thursday to Monday, most likely, something like that, Monday or Tuesday. And again, it is only rare summonings. It is not the Ancient or the Divines. You will have your Divines solely for this banner here with Ivar and Carnelian. Okay, this is your Ancient. This is your Ancient banner, and then your Divine and Rare banner is going to be Silas and Vieira. Okay, so again, Ancient only, Rare only, and Rare and Divine. Okay, all right, guys. Good luck. Great summoning. Please let me know what you've summoned. I'm going for all of them straight away. I think I'm going to try and pity manipulate and to get a Vieira because I already have my Silas. So getting a bonded Silas would be huge for me. Personally, I have just roughly about enough summons to hit a Lust. So I mean that's my goal, is to end up with a Lust and a Vieira if I do it correctly, right? I do have a few W gold sitting in my account. Like $75 worth, and if I hit her, I hit her. If I don't, I don't. Through the events here, and here, and here, and here, I should be able to have enough summons to hit pity once and get my Lust. So, good luck to you guys. Wish me good luck. Have a good night.